The Kethrin hunting party had surrounded Saren Hale long before she realized she was being watched. Their crystalline armor caught the dying light of the binary suns, refracting it into sharp geometric patterns across the desert floor. 7 warriors, each standing nearly 3 meters tall, their bodies covered in natural chitinous plating that had evolved over millennia to withstand the harshest conditions in the galaxy. Saren had been cataloging mineral samples when she heard a small, pitiful sound that didn't belong in this wasteland. A whimper, soft and trembling. She found the cub wedged between 2 rock formations, its small body barely the size of a terrier. Its armor plates were still soft, translucent like fingernails, offering no real protection. One of its 4 legs was bent at an unnatural angle, and a thin trail of violet blood, the color of Kethrin life, leaked from a gash along its flank. The cub's large compound eyes fixed on her, pupils dilating and contracting in rapid succession. Fear. Pain. The universal languages that transcended species. Saren knelt slowly, her environmental suit creaking. "Hey there, little one," she whispered, though she knew it couldn't understand English. "You're hurt pretty bad, aren't you?" The cub tried to crawl backward, but whimpered again when its injured leg dragged across stone. That was when she felt them. The weight of predatory attention pressing down on her like a physical force. Saren looked up. 7 Kethrin warriors stood in a semicircle around her, their plasma rifles raised and humming with lethal energy. Each weapon was trained directly at her chest. At this range, she wouldn't even have time to feel the pain. The largest warrior stepped forward, his armor adorned with deep crimson markings that signified rank, Varrox. Even among his own kind, he was massive, a wall of living weaponry shaped by evolution and enhanced by technology. Human. Varrox's voice emerged through his suit's translator, each word layered with harmonics that made the sand vibrate. Step away from the offspring. Saren's heart hammered against her ribs. She'd read the reports. Humans and Kethrins had been in a cold war for 3 years, ever since first contact had gone catastrophically wrong. Misunderstandings, pride, the usual reasons empires collided. But she'd also read the classified anthropological files, the ones that explained how Kethrin society operated. Cubs were everything. The survival rate was less than 30%. Every offspring that made it to adulthood was celebrated across entire star systems. To harm a cub was the ultimate sin in their culture, punishable by complete genetic erasure. Not just death, but the eradication of one's entire bloodline from all records. And here she was, a human, kneeling over an injured Kethrin cub in the middle of a demilitarized zone. "I'm not going to hurt it," Saren said carefully, keeping her hands visible. "It's injured. I'm a xenobiologist. Let me help." "You will not touch," Varrox began, but the cub whimpered again, a sound so fragile it seemed to crack the air itself. Saren made her decision. She reached into her field kit and withdrew a medical scanner, moving slowly so they could see every action. The rifles tracked her movements, but didn't fire. "Yet, fractured tibia analog," she muttered, reading the holographic display. "Punctured exoskeletal membrane. Going into shock." She looked up at Varrox. "It's dying. Your med teams won't reach it in time. I can stabilize it, but I need to work now." The warrior's weapon didn't waver. Why would a human save Kethrin life? It was a fair question. Humanity had lost 17 colonies to Kethrin expansion, thousands dead, but Saren looked down at the small creature trembling between the rocks, and she didn't see a political statement or a military target. She saw a child. "Because," Saren said softly, "this baby didn't start a war. It just wants its parents." She didn't wait for permission. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, applying synthetic biofoam to the wound, carefully splinting the broken leg with polymer strips, administering a dose of universal pain suppressant that worked on most carbon-based life forms. The cub struggled at first, then went still as the medication took effect. Throughout it all, 7 plasma rifles remained locked on her position. When the wound was sealed and the leg stabilized, Saren did something that wasn't in any manual or protocol. Something entirely, unmistakably human. She leaned down and gently pressed her lips to the cub's forehead. Between its compound eyes, a gesture of comfort, of tenderness, of the shared language that said, "You're going to be okay. You're safe now." The cub's breathing steadied. Its eyes, which had been cycling through panic patterns, slowed to something calmer. Saren looked up at Verox. "It should survive now. Keep the splint on for 6 cycles. The biofoam will—" She stopped. Verox had lowered his weapon. Not just Verox. All 7 warriors had lowered their rifles, the humming of plasma coils powering down in sequence like a descending musical scale. The alpha warrior stared at her for a long moment. His head tilted in what she'd learned was their expression of profound confusion. When he finally spoke, his voice had lost its edge. "You kissed it. We have observed humans before. We know this gesture. It is what you do for kin, for loved ones." "Yes," Saren said simply. "But this is not your offspring. Not your species. Not even your ally." Saren picked up her scanner and stood, brushing dust from her knees. She met Verox's multifaceted gaze without flinching. "Where I come from. When something is hurt and helpless, you help it. Especially the young ones. It doesn't matter what flag they'll grow up to salute." Verox was silent for several seconds. Then he touched his chest with one clawed hand, a Kethran gesture of respect. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we have misunderstood humans." 2 more warriors emerged from behind the rocks, these ones wearing medical insignia. They carefully scooped up the cub, their movements infinitely gentle despite their size. The little one made a small chirping sound but didn't struggle. As they prepared to leave, Verox turned back. "Saren Hale, I will remember what you did here. I will ensure the council remembers." "I didn't do it for politics," Saren replied. "I know," Verox said. "That is precisely why it matters." The Kethran party vanished into the desert, their active camouflage rippling them out of existence. Saren was alone again with her mineral samples and the setting suns. She didn't know it then. But that kiss, that simple, instinctive gesture of human compassion, would be replayed on every Kethran world. The image of a human kneeling in the dust, vulnerable and unarmed, choosing mercy when violence would have been expected. 3 months later, the first peace talks began, and when the Kethran delegation arrived, Verox personally requested that Saren Hale be present. The Alpha who had once aimed a weapon at her heart now wore a small medallion fashioned in the shape of a human hand, gently curved, as if protecting something precious. Because sometimes the most powerful weapon in the galaxy is knowing when to put yours down. And sometimes, saving the world starts with saving one small life. Even when that life doesn't belong to your species at all,